Where they're going to dig up the dinosaurs to eat. So,
Yeah. The dinosaur bones.
Yeah, dinosaur barbecue.
Good afternoon, folks. I put some hymnals that are on that table there. Here's an extra one right here if you need one. So there's another hymnal. I also have a can. We were asked, someone wanted to make donations to the mission of the church, and so my daughter made that can so that if you want to put in a donation, you may do so. You're not expected to, but you're welcome to do so. And I also want to say happy Irish Day or St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
Okay. Top of the morning to you. That's why I'm wearing green. That's why Tom's wearing green, right? Marge wearing green. Actually, I'm wearing green because I wore this shirt yesterday to church, and then I put a sweater over for today.
I don't think I have anything that's even green.
Really?
Yeah.
I have my shamrock earrings.
Shamrock earrings. So anyways, I just want to, of course, most of you know about St. Patrick, I'm sure. He was a person from England that was captured and was imprisoned, enslaved, in what we know as Ireland today. And he escaped from his captivity, returned back home, and then became a missionary and went back to where he was captive and proclaimed the gospel there and won Ireland to the Christian faith. And that's why he's called St. Patrick. So in case you didn't know that story. And so he's a patron saint of the Irish. How many are Irish here? Yeah, you got red hair. There you go. You got gray hair. So, that happens in time,
Do you know who Conan O'Brien is?
Yeah.
Nighttime TV. He was on Finding Your Roots.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's the only person that they've ever had on the show who was 100% anything.
Really?
100% Irish.
Wow.
There's no nothing else in his genes. And yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm proud to proclaim that I'm a mutt.
Yep.
I got so many different strains of humanity in me.
Woof.
Me too.
What?
There's an extra Bible there if you need one.
Oh, he doesn't know. Isn't that where we come to the expression, ignorance is bliss? Yes. Except in the Bible, because it says there, ignorance is no
They
excuse.
showed the pie chart, but even if you're 1% something, it shows up.
Really? Okay.
Amazing.
Yes. Yes.
I could tell how thick and creamy
Yeah.
good to me.
I have Jewish in me, and I have Dutch in me, and I have German in me, and and the Jewish part of me used to be spelled Holman. Okay, Holman. Matter of fact, I have a relative, I traced that line back, who was one of the musicians for King David, according to Hebrew language. And anyways, but I was because of the Jewish part of me, though, they all of a sudden told us to get the L out. And so it became Homan. Oh, bad. Okay. With that, we need to go on and...
Moving on.
That was terrible, wasn't it?
Oh,
that was
very.
terrible. Yeah. I'd like to say I have 1,000 of them, but I don't, because if I do, I get stoned to death. Anyways, let us turn to number 260 in your hymnals. I don't have an Irish hymn for you, but this is called, And Can It Be That I Should Gain? And if we do well enough today, we might be able to get to Psalm 22, which is a psalm that is related to Jesus' crucifixion. Okay? But it goes this way. And can it be that I should gain an interest in the Saviour's blood? Died he for me who caused his pain? for me, to him to death pursued. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me? Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me? He left his Father's throne above, so free, so infinite his grace, emptied himself of all but love, and bled for Adam's helpless race. 'Tis mercy all immense and free, for though my God should found out me. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me? I'm going to turn us to a different hymn for a couple of verses. That one I tried to pitch lower because if I pitched it in my comfortable spot, you'd be singing way up in the clouds. But anyways, that's the problem of being a high tenor. Then you can't get down low. So the next one would be 476.
Way in the back.
More love to thee, O Christ.
476.
476.
Wow, 474 is a long one.
It looks like it's all one verse, so maybe it wouldn't be too bad.
It's almost like that, isn't it?
That's a good one.
More love to thee, O Christ, more love to thee. Hear thou my prayer I make on bended knee. This is my earnest plea. More love, O Christ, to thee. More love to thee. More love to thee. Once earthly joy I craved, sought peace and rest. Now thee alone I seek, give what is best. This is my prayer shall be, more love, O Christ, to thee. More love to thee, more love to thee. Then shall my every breath sing out your praise. This be the only song my heart shall raise. This still my prayer shall be, more love, O Christ, to thee. More love to thee, more love to thee. And I'd like you to open our time together with prayer, praying with me. Right above 476 is a prayer, 475. So I thought we'd pray together. Lord Jesus Christ, because you looked ahead to a future joy, you were able to stand the agony of your disgraceful death. And as a result of this, you now stand in the position of supreme and exalted rank. Help me to follow you in this, to look beyond my hardships as you did yours, to see in them a way through to maturity and ultimately to eternal reward. Give me a determination like yours to battle temptation and to give sin a wide berth. Keep me from losing heart when the tension and pull away from you are the greatest. Teach me how to learn from my sufferings, lest they make me embittered. Lord, it really comforts me to know that in praying to you, I'm talking to the only one who can completely identify with me where I am right now. Amen. That fits in the theme that which I've been doing during Lent at Kirkville, which is on facing or overcoming our temptations. And so this next week we'll be looking at Hebrews 12, and that prayer will probably be part of our service as you've rehearsed it.
Psalms 29.
So we're on actually Psalm 20 today.
Verse 9.
Well, we're going to start from verse 1
Okay.
on Psalm 20. And what's so important about Psalm 20, you're going to find that Psalm 20 and Psalm 21 are related. So I say that to you like a fisherman hanging out a hook with a worm on it. So I want you, as you listen to these, find how are they related. Okay? Is that a good challenge for you? Bill, there's a seat right over next to me. Oh, okay. He said, no, I'm fine over here. I'm sitting at the bar. I'm okay. You may sit farther away, but you'll not be away from my view.
Do you get the microphone?
Yes, the microphones are right here.
Do you want it?
Just curious, no, just
No,
curious.
yeah.
You like me.
I'm going to start reading this psalm, and then I'm going to hand it over to a volunteer so you can be praying and thinking about who would like to volunteer.
Hands?
And so, Psalm 20, the prefix to it, reads, "For the director of music, a psalm of David." That doesn't tell us too much, does it, about background? Okay? But that does tell us the background to this psalm. Okay? So it goes this way. May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from the sanctuary and grant you support from Zion. May he remember all your sacrifices and accept your burnt offerings. Selah. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. We will shout for joy when you are victorious, and will lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Would someone like to read from verse 6 through 9?
I will.
Okay. Pass that on down.
I've got a lot of voice, I don't think
It's
I
hot.
need it.
Well, we'll pass it around. You can go ahead and start, and we'll get it to you. How's that?
Okay.
That way we can give it to Tom the next time when he's going to read it.
Okay, God save the King. I know he does. He hears me from the highest heavens and sends great victories. Some nations boast of armies and weaponry, but our boast is the Lord our God. And those nations will collapse and perish. We will arise and stand firm and sure. Give victory to our King, O Lord. Oh, hear our prayer.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now, there's several things we can find in this psalm. We don't find the particular occasion. So this was actually, ends because it was David was king. Of course, they're going to end it with saying, "Lord, save the king." Matter of fact, if you're in England, I think a lot of times they end it that way too.
They do.
Yes. So that's common understanding, but the psalm is not built around just that. But actually, this actually would be a good companion to Saint Patrick. Have you ever read any of his prayers, the prayers of Saint Patrick? Oh, you should. Look it up. They're good. How would this relate to Saint Patrick?
Well, if he survived,
True.
I mean, he went back to Ireland, he was in most people that were thrown in prison back in that time in history didn't survive prison.
Okay. That's very true. St. Patrick was noted for his blessings. He would bless people. May the Lord have his face to shine upon you and give you peace. There's songs that come from St. Patrick's, blessings that he would write. And so he was famous and noted for that. This is like that because it's giving a blessing. May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. It's not pointing out a particular distressing circumstance. It's just a blessing. And so the people would sing this in their worship to one another. I pray that the Lord will hear you. To hear you. And yet you will know that he hears you. May he send you help from the sanctuary. Now, that doesn't mean the physical sanctuary. Though hopefully the physical sanctuary, the temple, would be a place where you'll find a great deal of help. The sanctuary was part of the social system, social welfare system in ancient Israel. When you went to worship, you paid your tithe, or you would, or your tax, temple tax, to support the temple. But as you went on to worship, if you read in the Gospels and in Acts, there would be the lame, the misfortune, who would be seated or placed on the way to the different gates to go into the temple. And it was expected that you took enough with you that as you passed by the blind or the lame, you would give them alms. You anticipated that. There are some other things about the social welfare system in ancient Israel. What would happen if you owned land and you grew, and this is in the book of Numbers, that would, in Deuteronomy, that if you were harvesting, you were only supposed to harvest once. And whatever lay fallow, whatever was left, you did not go back through and pick. That was to be left for the poor. Which was interesting because if you were impoverished and you didn't go glean, then you went hungry. So the culture, they helped those in need, but it also encouraged those in need to help themselves, right? If you can remember the story. Yeah, ask Ruth. Thank you for bringing that. Because that's what Ruth did. Ruth and Naomi, as they came back to Israel, and she was impoverished because they had left because of a famine with her family, and then her husband died, her sons died, and so she came back with one of her daughters-in-law, Ruth, and while the house was there in disrepair, they didn't have anything. And so she went to the field of Boaz and gleaned. Ruth did. And then Boaz had an eye on Ruth. And so, because he admired her for sticking with her mother-in-law. And so he told the men, don't abuse her, leave extra on the ground. The story goes all of a sudden, because he was what's called the kinsman redeemer. Now, that was also part of their social welfare system. So what happens if all of a sudden you weren't married and you had a relative, you were responsible for them. There's someone who's a kinsman redeemer. Boaz wasn't it. But the one who was a kinsman redeemer, who was supposed to take care of, Naomi, he didn't want to do it. But again, Boaz had his eye on Ruth. Right? And so he then, publicly went and he then became the kinsman redeemer. Ruth then became his wife. Now Ruth then, who was a foreigner and not an Israelite, but came back with Naomi, became the grandmother of a shepherd boy that became king. Isn't that interesting? It's some beautiful stories that we need to pay attention to. But that was part of the kinsman redeemer, was part of the social welfare system. And even in Jesus' day, if all of a sudden I had 4 or 5 brothers and one of my brothers was not married, and all of a sudden I died, he was to take his brother's wife as his wife, so that any children that she might have had or his brother might have had would be cared for. Isn't that interesting? You know, each culture, and one of the strengths of the Hebrew culture is it did have programmed in it welfare, a social welfare system that was wonderful and beautiful if we read about it. And so what happens here, the sanctuary was to provide for that care. So when we went to worship, you would give alms. You came prepared to give alms to the poor. And so you did find that help there. But the sanctuary, which they're referring to, is what sanctuary? Can you tell you what sanctuary when it says, may he send you help from the sanctuary? The sanctuary of heaven. May God help you, answer your prayers, provide for you. May he grant you support from Zion. Now, the mount on which the temple was built in Jerusalem was called Zion. And so he is, the real Zion is the hill where the Lord hides, where God resides, where God then sends his help. May he remember all your sacrifices, meaning your previous time when you were in need and you gave the alms to the poor out of love and faithfulness to God, for your sacrifices that you gave. Now this is a very important one, verse 4. May he give you the desire of your heart. Not the desire of what you think you want, but the desire of your heart. See, God answers prayer not according to what necessarily we think we need, but what we truly need. One of the women who joins us in our Bible study, and we don't hear from her, but she joins us now from Oklahoma. She was in Massachusetts. She was a nurse. She had served in Uganda. She has served on the Cherokee Nation, and she developed brain cancer. I know we prayed for Esther before. And she defeated the brain cancer and lived in Massachusetts because she got her treatment from Boston. But then all of a sudden the cancer metastasized, and it's in her internal organs. Instead of going through further treatment, she decided she was going to return to her sisters in Oklahoma, where she had served as a nurse on the Cherokee Nation. She's destitute, has nothing but her Social Security, which was pretty slim pickings. But you know what happened? Because of her service on the Cherokee Nation, the Cherokee Nation hospice program is taking care of her. Isn't that interesting? So what there is that we understand that those sacrifices that we make in loving others comes back to us in many ways that we do not expect. So may he remember all your sacrifices. May he give you the desire of your heart. And I've talked with Esther. She smiles, she laughs. She's ready. She's been preparing with me for her service in which she's going to celebrate her Lord and Savior before she gets there. And she's joyful about it. May he make all your plans succeed. And then it talks about, we will shout for joy when you are victorious. What does that say to you? When you just listen to that, we will shout for joy when you are victorious. What's the focus of many of our prayers? Us. But this was written for the community of faith, I hope that you are blessed by God. Okay? And not only that, we will join you. What does Paul say? Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. It's part of being a part of a community of faith. And so we will shout with joy when you are victorious. And we will lift up banners and praise to the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Isn't that beautiful? Now, this is important. This is written by the king. Okay? Now, would someone like to read verse 7 again in a different version? Someone want to read that? Read it out loud. Someone want to read that?
Hello?
Yep, send the microphone back over this way. There you go. Thank you. Pass it this way. Thank you.
Oh, you? I thought it was me. Oh, never mind.
I did my time.
We'll give you your turn.
That's all right. The first sentence here brings to mind how China always shows its army and its men and its weapons. And so
They like to show the broadcast of them marching in line,
That's
don't
right.
they?
And
Yes.
of course, with our 250th birthday, you're going to see lots of marching with lots of tanks once again.
You bet. You bet. Go ahead and read that.
It's a boast of weaponry.
Yep. Go ahead and read it.
Some trust in the chariots and some in the horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God.
Now imagine that who's saying this? The king. The one who's in charge of the armies. The armies are important for a nation. Okay? But ultimately, if you just trust in your own power, in your own capability, David realized that you'll fail. There is an underlying value that must be sustained by a nation. And so while chariots and horses are important, or tanks, armies, whatever, because every nation has to have them, but undergirding that has to be God. Some trust in chariots, some trust in tanks, some trust in missiles, some trust in this or that, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And so he's saying this as king to all the people. So he's saying, I'm not going to trust in these. I don't want you to trust in these. I want you to trust in God. That's a wonderful thing. That's a leader, because that's being a spiritual leader. Yesterday we sang, the battle belongs to the Lord. And because that's in the scriptures, and the battle does belong to the Lord, ultimately. So that's kind of Psalm 20. Do you have any questions regarding that? How about the microphone? Who would like to begin chapter 21?
Carrie said she would.
Carrie. Okay, we'll send it back to you. I got to get the red light on. She's in the red light district.
The king is glad, O Lord, because you gave him strength. He rejoices because you made him victorious. You've given him his heart's desire. You've answered his request. You came to him with great blessings and set a crown of gold on his head. He asked for life, and you gave it a long and lasting life. His glory is great because of your help. You've given him fame and majesty. Your blessings are with him forever, and your presence fills him with joy. A king trusts in the Lord Almighty, and because of the Lord's constant love, he will always be secure. The king will capture all his enemies. He will capture everyone who hates him. He He will destroy them like blazing fire, and when he appears, the Lord will devour them in anger, and fire will consume them. None of their descendants will survive. The king will kill them all. They make their plans and plot against him, but they will not succeed. He will shoot his arrows at them and make them turn and run. We praise you, Lord, for your great strength. We will sing and praise your power.
Now, notice how it ends. Who gets the glory?
God.
God. And now, how does this psalm relate to the previous one?
Well, it's praise for winning, praise for victory.
Okay, so that, and the first one, he talks about, we will shout for joy when you are victorious, right? Okay. How else is this related? In the previous one, it says, may he give you the desires of your heart. And verse 2 says, you have granted him the desire of his heart.
Yes.
Okay? So this psalm, what it encompasses is that while he prays this for his people, may God answer your blessings. May God give you victory. He's not talking about necessarily war. You know, they will oftentimes put things in the term of military conquests. But the battles that we fight in life are not necessarily battles of armies. Matter of fact, that's what Paul reminded us in Ephesians chapter 5. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces and principalities. Okay? So it extends beyond that, but they start from what people can recognize to then going deeper into when we say the battle belongs to the Lord. Or like we sang at the end of our service yesterday, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. You know, the victory is not necessarily conquest with military fight. It is the victory that we have, are given because of our faith. We know that God is with us and takes us through those circumstances and the trials that we face.
I think of alcoholics and drug addiction.
Very good.
I mean, those poor people have quite a battle.
I would have you pray. I've spent 24 hours Friday night through Saturday afternoon with probably 38 men. Some of those men came from Rochester, New York, and were young men who have given their lives to Christ. But they also, if you hear their stories, came from addiction, from sexual enslavement, to broken relationships and great sorrow. And there were several times we would pray for someone that would ask for prayer. And the men would gather around, lay their hands upon them, and pray for these men. And most of those that had that conflict in them, they came with those type of addictions and struggles and stuff, were younger. And so I'd ask you to be praying for them. You don't know them by name. But their battle is not won yet.
I've seen little kids in the candy store battle their own battle, whether or not to take the candy without paying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have battles all our life.
We have battles all our life. And the only way we rise victoriously if we realize that our victory is accomplished by God in us. There's a strength that is provided us that those who do not have God or Christ in their life do not realize. One of the reasons why evangelism is important to me is, yes, I want to make sure people have salvation so that when they die, they have eternity. That's the ultimate healing, you see. And that's important. If I love others, I want them to have that type of healing. But more than that, as I look at like these young men, I want them to find victory in this life. It's not that they're going to be free from trial or trouble, but I want them to be able to draw upon the resource that God provides so they can overcome and not be one of the statistics, right? So if we love people, one reason why we share the gospel with them and the love of Jesus is because we want them to have a better life. And if we've known those victories, if we've known that better life because of our faith in God, then we want others to have that too.
Who sponsored this gathering?
It's Global Methodists.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Because
it's
I know there are other groups in the
Yes.
city that.
Yes. There are other groups. This is done. We'll be having one in the fall, then we'll be having one next spring as well. So, though last fall we were able to be outsourced somewhat. It was along Canandaigua Lake at Laterno Christian Conference and Retreat Center, and it was kind of nice being outside last fall. This weekend it wasn't so nice, but it was nice in a different way. Okay. So we find that there is this understanding. Now, in chapter 21, the king is using himself as a model. Okay? Real leadership doesn't just tell someone what they should do. Right? They model it. Oh, Lord, the king rejoices in your strength, not in his own strength. The king rejoices in your strength, O God. You see? So the people are hearing their king, their leader, lift up God and the strength and the power of God to encourage them to do the same thing. And likewise for us, if we want to be a leader of other people, and you are all called by faith to be leaders of others. If you have Christ, you are a leader. People are looking to you. Okay? We need to model that strength, that health. There was a time in my life when all of a sudden, even after I recommitted my life to Christ and I was serving, that I left the ministry for a year before I went on to seminary. Because there were some things in my life that were a mess that I needed to clean up. And I knew I needed to clean them up because I could not go on and finish theological seminary, graduate school, and serve if I didn't have them cleaned up. I could confess where I've been, but where I am when I'm leading other people, I have to lead from a place of victory and strength. And so I have to nurture that. Likewise, you are leaders of your neighbors, of people in your family. We have to model that strength and that faith. Don't just do what I say. Do what I do. Okay? So I challenge you to that. I'm sorry. I probably challenge people too much. But, people are counting on us. Why should I believe in God? Why should I follow Jesus Christ? Why should I follow the gospel? I know I can look back and I can see several different people. Dr. Helen Hirsch, Mr. Manier, another teacher, Mrs. Peterson, who not only spoke graciously and gently at appropriate times their faith, but they modeled it. And so when all of a sudden, when I was wandering away, I reflected upon those people. And it reminded me, do you like where you are? Wouldn't you like to have what they have? You see? Do people look upon you and say, I want what they got? That's important. That's also a burden that Christians share. But it's an important one. So that's basically what he's saying there. Verse 7. Look at verse 7. For the king trusts in the Lord. He can't speak for his people. He can only speak for himself. The king trusts in the Lord. Through the unfailing love of the Most High, he will not be shaken. Whatever comes my way, I will not be shaken from my faith and my confidence in God. I hope that inspires you. You know, because these Psalms, sometimes we read them and we do not settle on them and think, what are they really trying to say to us? Now, I got to check my watch. Okay, we have enough time. This Psalm 22, and so pass the microphone, if you will, over to Tom. I threatened him that I'd pick on him. I want to be faithful to my word. And Tom says, don't be faithful. No. What's so important? What's so important?
Psalm 22.
Yes. Read the
Prayer
prefix.
of an innocent person.
Yes.
For the leader according to the deer of the dawn, a psalm of David.
Yes.
My God, why have you abandoned me? Why so far from my call for help, from my cries of anguish? My God, I call by day, but you do not answer. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the glory of Israel. And you, our fathers, trusted. They trusted, and you rescued them. To you they cried out, and they escaped. In you they trusted, and were not disappointed. But I am a worm, not a man, scorned by men, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They curl their lips and jeer. They shake their heads at me. He relied on the Lord. Let him deliver him. If he loves him, let him rescue him. For you drew me forth from the womb, made me safe at my mother's breast. Upon you I was thrust from the womb. Since my mother bore me, you are my God. Do not stay far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Keep reading.
If someone wants to pick up from verse 12. Oh, there you go. Sandy will do that. That's an easy way of passing the microphone.
Yeah.
So I start at 12?
Yes, please.
Many bulls have surrounded me. Strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me. They gape at me with their mouths like raging and roaring lion. I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax and is melted within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd. My tongue clings to my jaws. You have brought me to the dust of death. For dogs have surrounded me. The congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. They look and stare at me. They divide my garments among them. And for my clothes they cast lots.
Okay, I want you to stop there if you would. What does this sound like? The crucifixion. This was composed 900 years before Jesus was born or would die for our sins. And on the cross, the events of the crucifixion, these were prophetic pronouncements. So on the cross, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And now what's the prefix for this psalm? What was it? For a righteous man? For an innocent one? And so we find that Jesus actually stated that. He was reflecting on Psalm 22. He was, even in his death, he was providing evidence to convince us of who he was and who he is and what he has done. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. I don't know how you can ignore that. It takes more faith to disbelieve than to believe. You know?
Don't you think, too, that God, when Jesus requested him to help him, God couldn't look at the sin of man.
Yes. We're separated from God because God is perfect and holy, and God cannot have anything to do with evil. That's why we're separated from God. From the minute and the events of Genesis, human beings separated themselves from God. It's not that God wanted to, but by God's very nature, he couldn't have interaction with that which is not perfect or holy. But because of God's perfect love, he couldn't leave us abandoned and subject to all that our separation would bring to us. We live in a broken and separated environment, and always will be until Christ returns and God reclaims this place, our world, as his own. So that's important. When we were talking about temptations and stuff, some of those temptations, as James was talking about, which I used yesterday, come from within us. God does not tempt us. They come from within us and from our separation and from the consequences of our separation from God and the circumstances, our dying, our decaying, our cancers, our anger, our wars and conflicts. God does not ordain those. We choose those. It's part of our separation from God. And so why would then Jesus, say that verse 1 on the cross? Why? Is just proof that he was foretold to be the one that would be sacrificed? What else might that be? Go ahead. His humanness. Because who would cry out that? You and I.
Right? That
Right?
would be our crime.
He is one with us. Solidarity with us. And who was it that hung on the cross? God.
Right.
Because he was both God and man. So God, out of his perfect love, couldn't leave us in our desperate circumstances, but became one with us, but yet was without sin. But he was relating to us. So God knows what it is to suffer and feel abandoned. Oh God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from the words of my groaning, so my prayers. You always feel like your prayers are answered and heard? Jesus prayed. Where are you? Oh, but if it is your will that I take this cross, then I will take it. He had to answer his own prayer, right? And then look at some of the other ones. Verse 8. He trusts in the Lord, let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him since he delights in him. So, where was that done on the cross?
They were taunting him from below.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So from below, they're saying, then let God send the angels and take him off the cross. Or, maybe Isaiah will come and the prophet and rescue him. When we follow Christ, we will have rejection. We'll know some rejection. We'll know also some persecution. People will not look upon us highly, not everyone, because of our stance, of our faith, and whatever. And so they will gloat. You walk with God? Well, look what happened to you. You lost your job. Oh, you walk with God, but you got cancer. Where's God's protection on you now? And that's what was being drawn upon in the cross. Now, what about verse 9? This is a neat one. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you, even at my mother's breast. Talk about the Immaculate Conception. What does that say to us then? I'm going to, my own personal conviction, I don't like abortion. Right? From birth I was cast upon you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. What does that say about a developing child? I'll just let you think on that, okay, for a while. This one that disturbs us, though, verse 6. I am a worm and not a man, scorned by men and despised by the people. For me, I'm a worm. I'm worthless. You know, we say that, but who died for us? As bad as what we are, as we like to think we have this pretense of goodness, but in our goodness is never enough. We look at ourselves as being a worm. You know, I don't know about you, but I go through periods of time, I feel pretty good, then there's also a time when all of a sudden I think, man, am I a louse? And then I think about Paul when he writes in Romans 7, oh, what a wretched man that I am. I do what I do not want to do. And what I want to do or should do, I do not do. Who can save me from this body of death?
Who says that?
Paul in Romans chapter 7. Okay? Every person who follows Christ, no matter how advanced we are, mature we are in our faith, will come to the place we always will realize we're limited. And we do not deserve. What was that hymn we're saying? Amazing love, how can it be that I should deserve your love? If there is someone who's a proud Christian and feels really good about who they are all the time and that where they are over other people, stay away from them.
They're not human.
Because they're not walking with Christ. A Christ of their own making, but not the one who gave his life for us. Okay. What else could there? Oh, verse 14. Someone read that out loud again. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted away from me. When he died and finally said, it is finished, what did they do?
They pierced his side.
They pierced his side. And what came out of his side?
Water and blood.
Water and plasma. Because that's what happens when all of a sudden your heart bursts. And so Jesus died before. They didn't have to break his legs. Because what happens is the person who died on the cross died from suffocation. Because they could not have the strength to push themselves up to breathe. Oh, it's an ugly thing. Okay? And so, because the Sabbath was coming, and the Jewish religious leaders couldn't allow them to linger when the Sabbath was going to start.
So he pierced his side.
So they said, break the bones of those legs. And they broke the bones of those who hung with him. But when they came to Jesus, he was already dead. So the centurion, who became a follower of Christ, stabbed him in the side to prove that he was dead. And water and plasma came out of his side.
And that went with the prophecy that his legs would not be, his bones would not be broken.
His bones will not be broken. Yes. And so that's why this one, I am poured out like water and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is turned to wax. It has melted within me. Oh, how about verse 15? My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. So they took a stick because they thought he was crying out for God to come and save him. And they put on a sponge wine vinegar to get him to drink it and held it up on a stick. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. How about verse 16? They have pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. Now, I don't remember anything in King David's life in which all of a sudden they pierced him, his hands or feet. Nothing of this fits his description. So when David wrote this, what was he doing?
Foretelling.
Foretelling of someone who is going to come to save us from our brokenness. Okay? We're going to continue on after verse 18, but not today. Okay? So we'll pick up next week.
So we stop at 17.
18, yes. Oh, the last final word is they divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. They did that with the seamless garment that he had.
17.
That's 18. So we're going to start at 19. Okay? So as we approach that, we're in Lent, as we approach that week of Passion a couple weeks from now, I hope this will speak to you, remind you, not to make you sorrowful, but to remind you of the great joy we should take because God has redeemed us. We cannot redeem ourselves. I have a Redeemer, Jesus Christ, my Lord. Yes?
I heard something interesting. There's only one thing God can't do. He can't stop loving us.
He can't stop loving us. And there's also another thing he can't do. He can't force us to love him. We have to choose that.
To do that.
Yep. So let's have some prayer. Gracious, loving God, we thank you for these words that encourages faith, that shows us we need to trust in you and not in ourselves, that also reveals what you have done for us, how great is your love and how undeserving we are, how thankful we are. Though we know inwardly who we are and what we are not, you love us still. Help us live this day in your love and help us to share that love with others who, like us, do not deserve one stitch of grace. But we offer it. And that's why you said, forgive the others as I have forgiven you. And if you do not forgive others, so I will not forgive you because I can't. Because that's what love demands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you much. There'll be some brighter psalm after we get past this.
Yeah, this is the dismal.
This is the dismal.
I
Yes.
don't know if all Bibles do this, but in this particular one, anytime
Cross-reference.
anytime there's a prophecy,
Yeah. It has a star.
there's a star.
Not all of them do
And
that.
then, when the prophecy is
It was
filled,
like a history book.
it's darkened in.
Oh, okay. No, not all of them do it. That's very cool.
That's kind of fun. And then you can go in here and see, what prophecy was based on.
Yep. That's good.
I like that.
Oh, that's good. That's a helpful study Bible.
I don't have it.
What's that?
The microphone.
The microphone? Right there. Right there.
Thank you.
I was accused of stealing the microphone.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.